Wouldn't it be great if you could just get your client brief, do the work, give the finished project to your client, and then move on? No more rounds and rounds of revisions or months of the phases being dragged out before you get paid. Stay tuned and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Hi, my name is Pia Silva. I am the founder of No BS Agency Mastery, where we help 1 to 2 person branding agencies scale to $30,000 to $50,000 months without hiring employees while cutting down your workload by up to 80%. And one of the ways that we do this is by using the intensives model, something that I teach in detail inside the No BS Agency Mastery program. So here's the problem. Most people operate in what I call the default model, and that means that you run projects over a period of time, whether it's weeks or months. The problem is when we start projects, we usually start with a ton of excitement and enthusiasm. You're excited, the client's excited, we can't wait to get this project started, right? In fact, when a client hires you, you usually jump on that project immediately. But because the projects are scheduled to happen over weeks and months, stuff inevitably happens. Life gets in the way. The client doesn't get you the content that you asked for. They don't get you the photos that you asked for. They don't get you the feedback on time. Even if they do get you the feedback on time, they want revisions. It's another week. And then they want to see another tweak and it's another week. And this tends to drag on forever. And what happens when you're working on a project for months and months? Everyone's energy and enthusiasm goes wah. We all just want the project to end by the end. Meanwhile, not only are you fatigued and running out of steam and enthusiasm for the creative project, but you're also running out of money because all of this time that you're spending managing the project over months is actually eating into your profits. So no matter how much you're getting paid, whether it's $3,000 or $5,000 or $30,000 or $50,000, you can actually be losing money on projects because they're taking so long and they're so drawn out. What do we all want? Especially as creatives, we want the time and space to do the work, do amazing work, the part that we love, and we kind of get rid of all that other BS, don't we? I remember distinctly when my partner Steve once said to me, gosh, I wish I could just build the entire brand and website and they just take it. That would be my ideal situation because then I get to do all the parts that I'm good at that I love without all the stuff that just sucks my energy dry. Not to mention, you want to keep more of the profits. No matter what you're getting paid, the less time you spend on it and the less time you spend managing the project, the more money you're going to make overall. Because if you're getting paid $10,000 for a 3-month project, and you could also get paid $10,000 for a 3-day project, obviously the 3-day project is going to be much more profitable because you'll have an additional 3 months to work on more $10,000 projects. You'll have a lot more time to make more money in. So after years of doing these long drawn out projects like many of you are, I started the intensive model. Instead of doing 6-month projects, we shrunk it down into just a couple of days. Now, when I tell people that we do our intensive model in days instead of months, they usually think that I'm either rushing, using templates, or just doing a subpar job, but nothing could be farther from the truth. The reason the intensive model works and actually enables us to deliver higher value work is because we are taking all that time that is spread out over months and months and we're just condensing it. This means that we get to concentrate exclusively on one project at a time instead of having to revisit it after not looking at it for days over many months. The projects actually end up coming out better because we are completely immersed in the world of this brand as opposed to popping in here and there and having to remember what we're working on and all the other inefficiencies that come from jumping from one task to another. The intensive model allows us to deliver higher value work at higher profitability, where the client ends up with a better result and we end up with a more profitable business and we are happier about the work that we do. Okay, so how do we do it? Well, it really comes down to 3 main parts of our intensive model. The first part of the intensives model is the deep dive LP. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know that the LP is critical to our process. It allows us to really, truly understand what is going on in the client's world and what they need, and not just do what they think they need. So when a client comes to me and says, I need a logo, I want to understand why they think they need a logo and what the actual problem is that needs solving. The benefit of doing an LP, there are many, but one of the benefits is that we uncover all all of their needs and we can address them all at once. If you don't do an LP, you end up in a situation where you have a lot of scope creep, because as the project moves along, things start to come to light. Oh, we probably need this, or oh, we didn't think about this over here. If you find you get a lot of scope creep, it's probably because you don't have a tight process for doing due diligence with your clients to uncover everything that they need so that you can tackle it all at once. The second ingredient to a successful intensive is that we can execute to completion. Instead of doing piecemeal work like most people do, where you make a mood board and then you show it and get revisions, and then you get feedback and then you make revisions, and then you do a logo and you probably do multiple rounds of revisions until you finalize on one of those, and then you move on, which you can see where this is going. This takes months and months to do. Instead of doing that, we actually do the entire project in one intensive behind the scenes. And this allows us to take a much more holistic approach at the entire brand. And I find that the work ends up better and actually more effective to getting to their goals than the traditional way of building each piece. Why would we make a final decision about one small piece of a brand when we haven't really seen the whole thing in action? If you don't do everything to completion and instead do it piecemeal, you might find yourself stuck in the rut of never-ending projects. If you find that your projects go on not just for weeks and months, but for weeks and months longer than you planned, it might be due to the fact that you are doing a piecemeal approach. And the last critical ingredient to an effective intensive is the holistic presentation. Again, instead of presenting each small piece on its own and having a client have to make final decisions on small pieces without seeing the entirety of the brand, you end up setting yourself up for failure, because as the brand comes together, those decisions that we made 2 months ago might not feel right. Instead, we create a holistic presentation where clients get to see almost the entire thing all at once, and that experience doesn't require them to have creative foresight and be able to read your mind about what this is going to look like. They get to see what this brand is going to be in one go. And I find that that means that clients are so much more excited and enthusiastic to say yes. If you don't do this, and instead do piecemeal presentations, what you end up with is unnecessary revisions. You end up working with people who are asking for things to change, even if they don't really care if they change, because it's part of the process. I can't show you my logos and you have 3 rounds of revisions and then I'm just gonna say, oh yeah, we'll just take that one. You are literally asking clients to give you feedback and to do all of this unnecessary work. You're actually promoting the idea that this project should take a long time. If instead you do the LP, you execute to completion, and you do a holistic presentation, what'll end up happening is you'll have a much more efficient creative process, because when you do that deep dive and then you execute to completion, you're basically doing the entire project in a couple of sittings and it gets all of your attention. If you execute to completion and do a holistic presentation, that is the most efficient client process that you could possibly do, because you've cut out all of those back and forth and all of that project management, and you've culled it down to just the parts that matter for the project outcome. And if you do a deep dive LP where you really understand the client and you give them that holistic presentation, they are going to feel like, and you are going to nail the work. And that's what we all want, right? We want to do an amazing job nailing this work. We want a client to see our work and say, oh my goodness, that is exactly what I wanted. In fact, that's what I wanted and I didn't even know I wanted it. That's the best compliment that we get, and we get it a lot because we do such a deep dive in the beginning and because we get to show them the full expression of their ideas in one sitting. This is how you get a no BS intensive.